Hey guys, it's Coach P. I just wanted to give you a heads up and let you know that I'm actually not going to be here. I'm actually going to be at a doctor's appointment for my wife. This will be one of the last doctor's appointments for our sons here, Dane. So I just wanted to make sure, check his ultrasound, make sure my wife's okay, and, see my boy. Sorry to be selfish there. But just wanted to go ahead and record our lecture for Chapter 7, wanted to finish it up. Hopefully we will be done with our sheet over market structures, the front side of the worksheet that I gave you earlier in the week, and then we'll work on the back with business structures later on, hopefully end of the week, if not next week. All right, so let's get started. So you should have already filled out the first two columns of a perfect competition in monopolies. But I'm going to zoom through it real quick, okay? So we're going to talk about the conditions that exist, what are the barriers to entry, how do they affect the marketplace, and then what are the prices and outputs like in a perfectly competitive market. All right, so we talked about it, okay? We got many buyers and sellers. We got identical products. We got informed buyers and sellers. All right, so understand, these are price tags. Essentially, we know what we're going to buy as we are presented with full information about the product and its price. Also, free market and entry and exit. Okay, so firms, businesses, we can enter the market, and when they can take money or make money, that's what the businesses are in for, to make money, right? And also, we can leave when we can't. All right, so if we're trying to compete with Oreos and we come in with our product that is essentially, we think is good, but the market does not demand it, or if we have too much supply of something, we know that we're not going to make money out of it, we can freely leave at no cost. All right, so barriers to entries, these are two factors that make it difficult for new firms to enter a market. Again, they're called barriers to entry, hence barrier to entry to the market. All right, so we talk about startup costs. These are expenses that, new businesses must pay before the first product reaches the customers. This is what it's called, a startup cost, all right? They got to pay, as businesses, have to pay expenses before a product's sold. And that could be, the input cost or just simply, the cost to actually produce the product. Also, we talk about technology. If some markets, they require, high degree of technological knowledge or know-how. If we don't know anything about technology, we can't really compete in the market. There's various trends, technology innovates, people come up with new ideas. As an entrepreneur, there must be change. If you want to come into market, you got to know something about technology, plain and simple. Now, this is what we're talking about when we go into price and output. We have our supply curve there. We have a demand curve in purple. All right, when we look at our equilibrium prices right in the middle, understand that's where equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity meet, or quantity supplied and quantity demand meet. Okay, an example we used was in Walmart. If the shelves were cleared, okay, think about it in times of disaster, milk and bread, the stores are cleared, the shelves are cleared. All right, so understand, businesses are in it to make money. They made money off of us. Okay, they may not have been the high optimal price that they wanted as a price taker, but we were able to get a price that we are capable of affording. So hence why the counters are essentially cleared. All right, so which of the following is not conditions for perfect competition? And how does the market influence output? Okay, the answer should have been C. For the first one, market barriers are in place. Okay, because understand there's free market entry and free exit in a perfectly competitive market. And this is really ideal for consumers. We want that perfect competition. We want to be able to find something at one store and another store. So if I want to get milk in a specific brand, if I want to get Mayfield Dairy milk, I should be able to get it at multiple places, not just at one place, as a Kroger or Walmart. I have other options, other stores in that rather. Also, how does a perfect market influence output? Each firm adjusts its output so that it covers all of its costs. We talk about startup cost. If you realize that, your cost of your good is actually more than what the cost to start up the firm is to actually sell the product, are you really making money? Probably not. So in order to influence output, each firm pretty much adjusts its output based on how much it's covering. Okay. If you realize that, the marginal cost is actually more affordable and going down as you make more of a product, then you're making money. Your business is using its resources efficiently. All right, so moving on, we got a monopoly, okay? We talked about the example of the Monopoly game. The whole purpose of playing Monopoly is to essentially run the whole board, be the one absolute seller. Everybody steps on your property, they're going to pay you, you're going to win. Plain and simple, fights are going to happen. That's the point of the game. Not really, but that's my point, especially if I'm losing. Anyways, if we're looking at Monopoly, it's a market demanded or dominated by a single seller, okay? These forms when barriers prevent firms from entering a market that has a single supplier. So understand there's going to be very high barriers to entry. If there's one seller, understand there's not going to be many other sellers. Only one seller. Mono meaning one. Also, monopolies can take advantage of their monopoly power and charge high prices. No matter what, if there's one single seller, they can charge whatever they want for whatever good they produce. Okay. So number 2 on the column on your sheet under monopoly, first one you should have got one seller. Second one should be a lack of substitutes for products. Understand, you got a single seller. So whatever you got a single supplier, whatever they produce, that's what we got. There is no substitute because it's ran by a single seller. The market, is dominated. Also, like I said, there's very high barriers to entry. That's number 3. And then number 4 is total complete control over the price. Okay. So in a perfectly competitive market, which is the complete opposite of a monopoly, there are the price takers, sellers are. Okay. In monopoly, the producers are known as the price makers. Okay. They make the price. Okay. Understand, in a perfectly competitive market, they take the price, they actually try to make more money out of it. And if they realize they can't sell their product, they're going to drop it. On the flip side, on a monopoly, they're going to charge the absolute most. They make the price, plain and simple. And underneath number 4 on your column, you should have put greatest contributor in price because they ultimately have control of the price, period. All right, so we talked about economies of scale. Basically, that's when the average cost falls for each additional unit it produces. So if the startup costs are high, every product you make in the average, if the price falls as it produces, this is called economies of scale. Okay. An industry that enjoys economies of scales can easily become a natural monopoly. And a natural monopoly we use, it's a market that pretty much is ran, it's a monopoly, but it's only ran to be the most efficient and for one company to provide all the output. The example I used is the apartments. My wife and I lived in Flowery Branch when we first got married. Georgia Power was the natural monopoly. Okay. And the example I gave you, the realistic example was, do we as a business, if we run the apartment complex, are we going to hire multiple contractors or are we just going to hire one? Ultimately, the answer should be one. It's more efficient. That way you don't have to call certain areas. That's why I didn't say, you live in District 2 in the apartment complex. You call Gainesville Electrical. You live in District 2. You call Jackson EMC. You live in 3. Everybody else called Georgia Power. Okay, we're just calling all Georgia Power or Jackson EMC. Make it simple for everybody. Okay, they provide all the output. And then technology and change. We said if there's some sort of change in technology to where we don't have to use power lines, we can make solar power and everything. That will essentially destroy a national monopoly. There's also called a government monopoly. Okay. We talked about patents and licenses. Patents, we talked about, if we customize our own shoe or our own watch, the Pair watch. A patent pretty much gives you exclusive rights as the inventor of a new product, exclusive rights for a certain period of time. That period of time is essentially 20 years. Now, understand, if you don't reapply for that patent, somebody can take your idea. On the flip side, we talk about a franchise. It's a contract that gives one single firm the right to sell its good within an exclusive market. We'll talk about business franchises like, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. There's more than one in Gainesville. Okay. With this contract, it allows the business or seller to sell that product within an exclusive market. All right. So also a license is simply a government issued right to operate a business. You've got to have a license to run the business. There's no discussion with that. And then we talked about, sports league. The government allows companies in an industry to restrict the number of firms in a market. We talked about, like the NFL, the AFL, the CFL. There's only a certain amount of leagues that are, in this market. Okay. If there's too many, then essentially production sales and ticket sales will essentially go down because there'd be too many options. All right. So we wrapped up the first part of the section was, price discrimination. Okay, so we had market power. It's the ability to control prices and total output. Price discrimination is division of customers into groups based on how much they'll pay for a good. And these discounts were like student discounts, manufacturer rebates. Those are forms of price discrimination. If we have market power, we control the price. Price can be discriminated, to divide customers into groups. And this is based on how much they'll pay. If you have a discount, more than likely people are going to buy the item. If you have student discounts, that target audience of students are essentially going to buy your product. If you have rebate offers, your refrigerators, you're essentially going to buy that knowing that you may get, money in return. And then also requires some market power. You got to have some sort of control of the price. Distinct customer groups and difficult resale. You got to understand that, you got to know who you're selling it to. Plain and simple. All you need to get to know out of this is that monopolist, if you run a monopoly, they're trying to maximize their profit. They're going to compare it to a perfectly competitive market. They produce fewer goods at a higher price. There's a single seller. Okay, the more goods you make, essentially, the more input and cost you're going to pay. So monopolists try to essentially make their product fewer, or make fewer products rather, in order to maximize their profit. And up here it says a monopolist sets an output to a point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Once you realize the additional cost is equal to the marginal cost, which is the additional cost of making an item, and the additional money, that marginal revenue, the additional money you're making from making another product, you are essentially running a monopoly. All right, so section 2, you should have got for number 1, a monopoly is it's the letter A, market dominated by a single seller. And price discrimination, division of customers into groups based on how much they'll pay for a good. We talked about rebates. We talked about teacher discounts or student discounts. Okay, that wraps up the first part of the section. We've kind of touched on this already. Your first 2 columns should be already completed. In the next video, I'll go ahead and touch on oligopolies and monopolistic competition. All right, thanks, guys.